Hey, it's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com. I'm just out here working on my cucumbers. These are pickling cucumbers, and I thought I'd do a video on growing pickling cucumbers on a trellis, why it's a good idea, and just a few tips for how to make that all work well. So let's have a look here. So I've got these pickling cucumbers I planted, what is it, middle of July. So I planted these around the beginning of June. These were not transplanted or anything like that. They were just direct seeded into the ground. And I've got a trellis that's about 6 feet high at the top. It's about it's a little bit more than 6 feet. This is exactly my height. Is the height of this. I'm 6'4", and this is 6'4", you know, give or take. It's not perfect. And you want a sturdy trellis if you live anywhere with high winds, or it'll get blown over. I haven't set them up yet, but once they start getting of size, you probably want to start putting a kind of cross brace, right? You pin something into the ground and then tie it on really tight. I use a kind of knot called the Canadian jam knot to get that on tight. There's 1,000 ways to fasten, right? So I usually have at least 2 on one side and at least 1 on the other side. But ideally, you've got basically 4 braces, and that will should support it against tropical. I live in Nova Scotia, Canada. It's a peninsula jutting out into the North Atlantic Ocean, and we get tropical storms here and hurricanes sometimes. And if you don't do this, it's all coming down, and it's all coming down in like September or October, because that's when we get those kinds of storms. When you don't want it coming down, like this pea trellis. Peas are all done. I don't care if it comes down. I actually have to dismantle this, soon. But I don't care about that coming down. But these I do. So I haven't put cross braces on this yet, but it's something I need to do. I usually do it when the plants are at a height where the cross brace would attach, because it's just so much easier to attach it when the plants aren't high. For those that are wondering, this is just, some people call these cattle panels, but technically, if you went to a hardware store to get these, which is where I got them, it's called concrete wire remesh, right? It's used for pouring concrete because it's reinforcement, right? Concrete wire remesh, which means reinforcement mesh, right? This is poured, the concrete's poured around this, and it makes the concrete much, much, much stronger. And if you buy, I think one of these costs like 15 bucks, and it'll last years and years and years. It's really heavy gauge steel, but I'd say that's about, almost 2 millimeters in diameter. Okay, well, like 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit more, 3/16. Okay, that sort of thing, for those that like that system. Okay, I can go either way. Canada's a weird country like that. We use metric, but we also think in imperial or American standard. The key to having really good success with pickling cucumbers, in my opinion anyway, is to facilitate their need for sunlight. I mean, they have to have healthy soil, and they have to have all the water they need. And if you don't have healthy soil, add some manure and keep it mulched, right? So this is just, and what a great mulch for cucumbers is just grass clippings, which is all I got down here. It's got all kinds of nitrogen in it. Cucumbers are heavy feeders. They like a lot of nitrogen. They'll take all the nitrogen they can get. They'll take all the water they can get. They'll take all the sun they can get. So we solve the nutrient problem and the water problem by using a mulch, watering when necessary. I haven't watered these much lately. We've been getting sort of perfect amounts of rain, and by keeping the soil mulch, you don't have to water that much anyway. So I really haven't been doing much with these in that category, but also facilitating their need for sunlight. And you can have them just go around on the ground, but they're going to get more sun if they can get up high, right? Reaching for it. The way trees grow, right? They grow up, right? You go up, you get more sun, right? So that's what you have to facilitate. And unlike beans, these do not want to climb the trellis. Look at my beans here. Oh, I have done nothing. Look at this one. So I don't know, maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago, it was down here, foot off the ground, and now it's gone all the way up. This one is over 8 feet high, right? Higher than I can reach. I can reach about 8 feet. I can touch the ceiling, standard ceiling of a home, and this is beyond my reach. And I didn't do any of this. I didn't have to train it up the trellis. It just found its way. But the cucumber wants to go sideways. They grow really well. I mean, the fact that it wants to grow sideways doesn't mean that it will not grow well on a trellis. Okay, you just have to, the point is that it won't, you have to make it, right? So you have to be a little bit rough, try not to break it, right? But I just pick a tine and just wrap it around that tine, you know, fairly aggressively. Okay, and these little things they'll find a way to grab on, right? So that's all you do. You just, from time to time, you come up and train them, right? Yeah, where's this one going? Yeah, so this one was going right, this one was going back down. So I'll train it up like that, right? So all of these need to be trained up. And if you've got one like this, right, where it's kind of difficult to get it back into the trellis, you just get some twine, like this jute twine, tie it up to a high point, and bring it down to the plant. And you don't have to do much because they have a spiny stalk. You just wrap the jute twine, which you can get at this stuff you can get it at any dollar store. It's cheap, okay? If you just loosely wrap the jute twine around the stalk, it'll stick like Velcro due to this spiny nature of the stalk, right? So you just tie it up on a high point, bring it down, and just wrap it around with the cucumber plant pointing up. And that's all you have to do to get them up, right? So, I mean, this is the sort of thing you do in the morning before I have horse flies and deer flies here. So you come out in the morning and do this. You have to be a little, you know, assertive, and it certainly doesn't help anything holding a GoPro while you do it. Not recommended. But I mean, the plant has a tolerance for being bent and twisted. You just have to go by feel. You'll learn how to not break them by breaking them. Right? That's kind of how it goes, right? You learn the burner's hot from touching it, right? But yeah, that's the process, right? Kind of a, I don't know, bonsai type exercise. So it's very peaceful being out in the garden early in the morning like this. But you see down here, there's not a lot to grab to, so I might get some jute twine and, you know, just tie it up here and just wrap it around just to get that pointing up. But you want to get all of those going up and up and up and up. So maybe every 3 days, right? Every 2-3 days you come out and you just fix everything. You train it. And if you've got really good, healthy soil, you can get it all the way up. You know, I'm happy. I think a good year is if I can get them 5 feet. I mean, I've had years where they haven't gone much higher than this. So when they're this, I mean, again, I can't remember the variety of this. It's just not coming to mind. But I've had years where it gets as low as this, and I've had years where it's been all the way up to the top. When it's down like here, either you've done, I mean, if you don't get a good mulch on them, they won't grow well. That's one thing. But if you do all of that and it's still only this high, and let's say you've got a good mulch and you've watered it, and it probably means that your soil is lacking in nutrients. And it's time, you know, you make a note, okay, cucumbers didn't grow high. That's the year you want to get a load of manure or compost or whatever. You need to add something to your soil. Or if you're not in a situation where you can do that, and you're going to be planting cucumbers in the exact same spot the next year, which I don't recommend, then you're going to have to use some sort of fertilizer, right? It just means they haven't gotten the nitrogen. They've gotten all the soil they could possibly need, or they've gotten plenty of sun. You got a nice sunny spot, and you've kept them properly watered. Haven't overwatered them, but just kept it mulched, and they haven't grown well. Your soil is probably just lacking in nutrients. Last year, I got a dump truck of manure and put an inch of manure on every bed in my garden, and you can see, right? It's just fantastic this year. Having a great garden. Just an inch of manure on every bed. It's all it took, right? Sometimes it's really simple. Look at these tomatoes. Look how good they're doing. I mean, we're having a good growing season, but I don't think it would have done as well without the manure. I guess one final tip: if you're going to be pickling cucumbers, grow your dill. So I plant the cucumbers and the dill at the exact same time. And generally speaking, when the cucumbers are ready, the dill's ready. I find the length, one row of dill, the same length as the row of cucumbers, is enough dill for all the pickling I'm going to do in a season. You could put a row, if you get, this is like a 4x10 bed, and this, this will give me, I'll probably do about 10 half-gallon jars of pickled cucumbers. And that's in addition to all the cucumbers we eat during growing season. So, I mean, you'd have to be in a pretty special situation to need more pickling cucumbers than that. Anyway, if you want more dill, you can plant some on the other side. Normally, I plant parsley on the other side, which is what I did this year, and it never came up. And then I planted it again, and it never came up. So I blew it somehow. I still don't think it's too late to get some parsley going. I'll do a video on that really soon. But yeah, I usually like to have dill on one side and parsley on the other side. Not because there's any special relationship between dill and cucumbers and parsley in terms of them growing well or pest avoidance or anything like that. The dill goes with the cucumbers. It also goes really nice with salmon and other fish and potato salad. Oh my goodness, right? I've just been craving fresh dill and potato salad for months. I can't wait to get into it. But I just have the space here, right? So it just makes sense, right? I plant the parsley as far, as close to the edge as possible so it can get some sun. But there's enough sun here to grow parsley. I've done it year after year after year. I really don't know what went wrong this year. But it doesn't matter. We persevere, right? We're persistent and we persevere. That's how you have a good garden. Just stay with it. Anyway, just a short video on growing cucumbers and getting optimal results with not a lot of work and just a little cleverness in the setup. So I hope you found that interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe, and until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.